So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second session on limits. So in this session, we are going to talk about other methods to evaluate limit, and also we'll be talking about certain standard limits. Okay, we'll talk about standard algebraic limit, standard trigonometric limit, standard exponential limit, and standard logarithmic limit. So I would need your cooperation to finish up till this point in today's class, so that next class we can talk about other indeterminate forms. Okay. So let me start with the method of rationalization. Method of rationalization is basically applied when you have an irrational term involved anywhere in the function whose limit you are evaluating, and method of substitution is not working. Method of factorization is also not working directly. But yes, after a bit of rationalizing the numerator or denominator, depending upon what type of function is given to you, you are able to solve that given limit. I had already done this in the bridge course, so let us understand this with a simple example. Okay, so let me begin with a simple example here. Let's say I have a question like this. Okay, very simple question. We have to evaluate the limit of this expression as x tends to 0. Now you can see that it's not a case of substitution, because when you substitute, your numerator becomes a 0. Your denominator also becomes a 0. Correct? So it's a case of tending to 0 by tending to 0 case. Yes or no? Method of factorization will also not work directly, because you cannot factorize the numerator term because it's containing irrational expressions. Okay. So what do we do in such case? Let me take this as an example question. Then I'll give you some follow-up questions. We rationalize the numerator over here. Now, dear all, be very careful about choosing the rationalization factor. I have seen people, they don't know exactly the rationalization factor meaning. Okay. For example, I've seen many people, okay, they think rationalization factor is all about changing the sign of this expression in between. For example, if it is minus, make it plus. If it is plus, make it minus. See, that is true only when you're dealing with square roots. That doesn't work if you're dealing with, let's say, cube roots. Okay. So let us, in this case, if you have under root of a minus under root of b, and you want to make it a minus b, then it is understandable that you have to multiply with under root of a plus under root of b, and vice versa. But this rationalization factor or this belief system will not work if, let's say, somebody gave you a to the power 1/3, b to the power 1/3, and they ask you to rationalize this. In other words, they ask you to multiply it with something so that it gets converted to a minus b. So what would be the rationalization factor in that case? Rationalization factor in that case would be a to the power 2/3 plus a to the power 1/3, b to the power 1/3 plus b to the power 2/3. This will become your rationalization factor. Okay. So it is not always about changing the sign in between. So please get your understandings clear with respect to how to choose the rationalization factor. Okay. So here, of course, as I already discussed with you, you have to change the sign in between by multiplying and dividing with, I think I copied slightly mistake here, minus. Yeah. Okay. So just multiply and divide with this term. Okay. So the numerator would become 1 plus x minus 1 minus x by 2x under root of 1 plus x plus under root of 1 minus x. Now, last class, I had told you one important thing. There are some factors in the expression which I call as harmless factors. There are some factors in the expression which I call as harmless factors. What are these harmless factors? The factors which do not become 0 as you put the x value here, those factors would be called harmless factors. For example, in this case, this is a harmless factor. Why am I calling this harmless factor? Because the moment you put x as 0, it becomes root 1 plus root 1. What I recommend, what I suggest, is whenever you come across a harmless factor, put the value of x to whatever it is tending to in that expression and take it out of the limit process. Don't unnecessarily involve them in the limit. Okay. So I will put the value of x as 0 and this will become a 2. So let me bring it out. Okay. So this will become a 2x by 2x. Correct. And 2x and 2x will get cancelled off, leaving you with the answer as a half. Okay. So option number D becomes the right option here. I hope the process is clear. I hope the process is clear. Okay. Any question with respect to this? Okay. So I have some questions. Madhav is asking when we are going to have holidays for Centrum. Okay, then he corrected it to Centum. Is this from the DPP? Yes. Okay. Madhav, what I'll do is when you have exams, early in the exam time, we will relieve you on certain days. Which day I have to see? First of all, there should be an important exam the next day. Okay. And we'll see even if you can, shorten the duration of the class early, we can keep it as a 1.5 hour class or something like that. So we are not fixed upon any holidays for you, but definitely there would be holidays. We'll see. We'll see. We'll discuss more about it. Okay. Let's talk about the next question. Yeah. Let's take up this question. Did I send this DPP to you? Okay, okay. But in the DPPs, many of the questions would have been solved by would have been solved by L'Hopital's rule. Okay. As of now, I will not be using L'Hopital rule to solve any kind of question till I have officially introduced it to you. Okay, okay, sure. Okay. So if you've solved it, we can discuss it without wasting much time. For example, in this case, if you see the numerator is becoming 0, denominator is also becoming 0. So what is the first step? You rationalize the numerator part. Now I'm not going to write the rationalization factor. I'm just going to write the direct result. Okay, this was the rationalization factor. Now in this rationalization factor, in this entire expression, you will see that this term emerges out as a harmless term. Correct. So you can put the value of 2 here. When you put the value of 2 here, it becomes root 3 plus root 3, that is 1 by 2 root 3, which you can take out. Okay. Rest of the term would be under root of 2 plus x minus 2 by x minus 2. Okay. This is again a 0 by 0 form. This term is again a tending to 0 by tending to 0 form. Correct. In fact, there was x tending to 2 here. I wrote a 0 by mistake. Yeah. Then again rationalize this. If you again rationalize this, you are going to multiply the numerator with under root of 2 plus x minus plus 2, right? So that will come down over here, under root of 2 plus x plus 2. Again, this is a harmless term. If this is a harmless term, you can put the value of x as 2 and bring it out. So that will come out as a 4. So it will become 1 by 8 root 3, limit x tending to 2, x minus 2 by x minus 2, which anyways would become a 1. Answer is 1 by 8 root 3. Is this fine? Okay. Now I'm sure you would have got this problem also, which I'm going to put next in front of you. Did anybody solve this? Did anybody solve this question? Oh, sorry, Raghuram, I'll go back. Yeah, is that fine? Raghuram, you want to copy something from here or ask something? Done? Raghuram? Okay. What happens to x minus 2 divided by x minus 2? They get cancelled. It will become 1. Limit of 1 is 1 only. Limit of a constant term, what will happen? It will stay there only, right? It will not change. Yeah. We'll see, Arjun, what we can do about it. You can inform Dheeraj sir also about the same. Okay, now this question, many of you would have tried. And if you look at the solution also, they have used L'Hopital rule to solve it. Now, this is a case where your expression in the numerator has got different roots on it. For example, this is a cube root, or you can say power of 1 by 3. And this is a square root, power of 1 by 2. Okay. So how do you rationalize such a thing? Now, where rationalization may not work directly, we have to rely on our binomial expansions. So let me take this as an opportunity to introduce to you binomial expansions, which I have already done in the bridge course with you, but I'll do it yet again. Okay. So binomial expansion basically helps you to evaluate expression a plus b, which is actually a binomial term. Okay, two terms means binomial term, binomial, trinomial. Okay, these are basically the name given to the terms. If there are more than two, it becomes polynomial term also. Okay, so a plus b to the power n expansion is basically given by binomial expansion. Now there are two cases here: when n is a whole number, and second case is when your n is not a whole number. Okay, so I will take both the cases. Now, not a whole number means it could be a fraction or it could be a negative integer. Okay, so when n is a whole number, the expansion goes like this: a to the power n, n a to the power n minus 1b, n minus 1 by 2 factorial, a to the power n minus 2b square. And this trend goes on. Let me write one more term just for you to know the trend. Later on, when we do permutation combination, I'll start calling this term as, this term is actually 1 over here, which I'll start calling as NC0. Okay. But only when I've done permutation combination with you. This is NC1. This term is called NC2. Okay. This term is called NC3 and so on. Okay. As of now, I'm just giving the expansion of those terms. Okay. The actual the symbol used for that is your NCR symbol, which comes from your understanding of permutation combination concept. Yes. Yeah. So now this trend continues till we reach 1 a to the power 0 b to the power n. Okay. Actually, I will write a to the b to the power 0 here also to maintain the trend here. Okay. So this has got some finite number of terms. You learn later on in the binomial theorem chapter that this expansion has got n plus 1 terms. This expansion has got n plus 1 terms. Okay. So please make a note of it, everybody. I want everybody to copy this down. Okay. Now, why the last term actually becomes 1? Many people ask me. It's because it is actually n minus 1, n minus 2. It will go all the way till 1 by n factorial. Okay. So what happens is this term itself is n factorial. The numerator itself is n factorial. Okay. This term is n factorial. So n factorial by n factorial, they'll cancel out and give you a 1. Now another question people ask, why does it stop there? Why doesn't it go any further? It's because the next term that comes will be 0. Okay. And that's why it will make all the terms become 0 after that. So the series will end at this point. Go left. Yeah, sure, Anurag, I'll go left, a bit left. Yeah, this is not coming in one screen though. Okay, is this fine? So there will be total of n plus 1 terms over here. I'll just write it down for your convenience. We'll talk more about it when we do the chapter binomial theorem. Meanwhile, let me talk about the expansion of the series when n is not a whole number. When n is not a whole number means it's a fraction. That means n could be a fraction. Okay, or n could be a negative integer. In such cases, the expansion goes like this: 1 into a to the power n b to the power 0, n a to the power n minus 1b, n into n minus 1 by 2 factorial a to the power n minus 2b square, dot 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 up till infinity, right? So you'll see that there is no difference between when n was whole number and n was not a whole number, except for the fact that the former only went to n plus 1 terms and it stopped there. But the latter, it went to infinitely many terms. Now, why infinitely many terms? For the simple reason that the zero that created over here, after this, the zero that got created over here, such a zero will never get created over here, right? Because n is a negative integer or n is a fraction, and you are constantly subtracting integers from it. So let's say from a fraction term, if you subtract integers, will it ever become a zero? Never, right? Even from a negative integer, if it's already a negative integer and you're subtracting integers from it, will it ever become a zero? Never. So this series goes on and on forever. Okay. However, the pattern that I have used, that would constantly remain the same even for both the series. Now, before I move on, I would just like to leave a word on this. This series will work only. This series will work only when the right side term is a convergent term. The right side term is a convergent one. Okay, this should be a convergent one. Now, I will not go into details of convergent and all. That is something which we will talk about later on. But I just want to tell you, for this series to be convergent, mod of b by a should be less than 1. Just note this down. I mean, nothing very important for you. You will not never be able to use it also. Okay, just make a note of it. If anybody is planning to take AP Calculus BC, probably he will come across this concept. But otherwise, this is not of that much of use. Oh, it started raining at my side. It was cloudy since morning. Yeah, any questions anybody has? Sir, where am I adding one? Yeah, see, Pranav, we actually, in the bridge course, we took out the a to the power n common out. But here I have not taken out that common, but you can always do that. Okay, so what Pranav is saying is a different version of the same expansion. So I'll write down that also. So if you take a to the power n common, it becomes 1 plus b by a to the power n. And in that case, it becomes a to the power n 1 plus n b by a. Okay. See, here what is happening is the first term is becoming a 1, the second term is becoming a b by a. So you can actually forget what is happening to 1 because 1 raised to any power is 1 only. Okay. So next term will be n minus 1 by 2 factorial b by a whole square and so on. Is that fine? Do we need to know convergent term? No, not required, Vaibhav. You just need to know that the series should be convergent. It's just for your extra information. Nobody is going to test you on that. In fact, convergent divergence concept is not there in JEE at all. Surprisingly, though. Okay. So now, having noted down this, we are all ready to solve this question. Okay. I think I've already used all the space over here. So what I'll do is I'll copy this question again in the next slide. So I'm going to the next slide. If anybody wants to copy this, please do so. Done. Okay, let me copy the question again. Okay, now to solve this, what I will do is, first of all, as x tends to 1, let me do this small activity here. I will write my x as 1 plus h. Okay, so as x tends to 1, it means h will tend to 0, right? So I'm replacing my x with 1 plus h in this limit. So limit h tending to 0, you have 7 plus 1 plus h the whole square to the power of 1/3 minus 3 plus 1 plus h whole square to the power of half whole divided by h. Okay, so it will become limit h tending to 0. I'm just expanding it. Okay, so I'm not using L'Hopital anywhere. I'm just using my binomial expansion. See, binomial expansion is like the big brother. Okay, it will bail you out from any irrational situation. If you feel that you're stuck and rationalization factor is not very simple, or you are having different roots, powers, or nth root is different for both of them, then in that case binomial expansion is the safest route out. Okay, so please get a hold of this concept because it's going to be very helpful. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 8 out of the cube root and 4 out of the square root. Remember, when 8 comes out of the cube root, it will come out as a 2. So you'll end up getting 2h plus h square by 8 to the power of 1/3. And this will come out as a 2 again, 1 plus 2h plus h square by 4 to the power of half. Okay, whole divided by h. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, since both of them are fractional powers, what I'll do in my mind, I will consider this to be x. Okay, similarly this will also be my x. Okay, now recall the expansion that I had written in the last part of our discussion, right? I was talking about Pranav's recommending something. So that expansion you try to remember. If not, I will write it over here for your quick reference. 1 plus x to the power n. If n happens to be a fraction or a negative integer, it goes like this: 1 plus nx, n minus 1 by 2 factorial x square, da 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 da, all the way till infinity. Okay, now this guy, this big guy, 2h plus h square by 8 is like my x. Okay, so let us use our binomial expansion. So 1 plus n is 1/3, x is this guy. Okay, dot dot dot. Now many people say, sir, why don't you write all the terms? Why don't you write at least 5-6 terms? See, it all depends upon what is the highest power of the term which you want to cancel out in the denominator. In the denominator, see, I want to get rid of h. That everybody understands, right? What is my main sole purpose over here? To get rid of h. So h is present to a power of 1. So the first term is sufficient enough for you to get the job done. You don't have to write, several terms. You'll just end wasting your time if you do that. If need be, I will write more terms. If there is no need, if you require only a single power of h on the numerator, then just write as less terms as you should write to solve the question. Don't write too many terms. Here also, if I do the same, I'll get 1 plus half times 2h plus h square by 4 dot dot dot. Okay, dot 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 means it goes all the way to infinity. I cannot write all the terms. Correct? Okay. Now, any question, anybody? Okay. If you open the brackets, you would realize that 2 will get cancelled off. The 2 from here and the 2 from here will get cancelled off, and you'll end up getting 2h plus h square by 12 Just check this out. 2 into 1 by 3 and 8 down will give you 2 by 12. And there would be other terms which I will not be writing. Here also, I'll get minus 2h plus h square by 4. Okay. And again, there would be other terms which I'm not writing. Okay. Or you can just write. Okay. Let me write that in the next step. Now, after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel out. I'm going to cancel out 1h and 1h in the numerator and denominator. So this will go off, this will go off, this will go off, and this will go off. Now remember, other terms I have to fit in over here because I don't have space. Other terms would be containing h. Okay, you can say terms containing h will be left off. Right? So what did I do? I picked up one h out of all the terms in the numerator, one h from the denominator, and cancelled them off. Okay. I hope you all realize that h is tending to 0, then h minus 0 is the problem creating factor. H minus 0 means h only. H is the problem creating factor. So I need to get it cancelled. Else I will always be suffering from, or the problem will always be suffering from an indeterminacy. Correct. So once you have cancelled, you are free to substitute. Once you're substituting, you would realize that the numerator will give you 2 by 12, which is 1 by 6, 1 by 6, and the denominator will give you 1 by 2. So 1 by 6 minus 1 by 2 will become a negative 1 by 3. So your answer would be negative 1 by 3, which is option number A. Okay. So I have not used any L'Hopital rule. I have not used any high funda concept, which I have not taught yet. So I've just used my binomial expansion. So remember, binomial expansion will save you when your method of rationalization is not working. Okay. So please make a note of this. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. H common. Okay. Shreyas is asking, where did the H come common from? See, you have 2h plus h square by 12. Correct. You will have next term would be even more like having more number of h's because you'll have 2h plus h square by 8 square coming up. Correct. So I'm not writing those terms because I don't need them, because they will anyways become a 0 when I put h as 0. So I borrowed one h from all the terms of the numerator and got it cancelled from the h in the denominator. Would it be left with 2 plus h? And what happens to h when h is tending to 0? Shreyas? So those are gone. So you have 2 by 12 and minus half left. Okay. Yeah, very good question, Pooja. Pooja has asked, why didn't you start with a binomial theorem on the beginning itself? That would not give me the desired result because it will give you some complicated version. Okay. See, x is tending to 1 actually. It is always safe to convert your limit tending to 0 because you don't have to worry about terms which are having h or x in them. Okay. So just to make my life convenient, I did that. Because when h is tending to 0 or when the variable is tending to 0, whatever is the variable, whether it is x or whether it is h, you can forget about them because they are anyways tending to 0. So other than the constant term, you need not have to pay heed to other terms. That is the main reason why I converted it to tending to 0 rather than working on with tending to 1. Got it, Pooja? That is the main reason. Just to make my life easy. So in the first step, why didn't you take x tends to 1? That's the question that Pooja was also asking. Why didn't you start working with x tending to 1 only? Sir, can you show the binomial expansion part once again? Okay, you want to see this part or the one which I had written in the previous slide? This part you want to see, Madhav? Okay, can you go through the question? Okay. See, what I did was, first of all, I converted this limit to another limit question by making an interim substitution of x as 1 plus h. So as x tends to 1, h will tend to 0. Now, what was the purpose for doing it? The purpose for doing it was pretty simple. I basically wanted to deal with such terms which I can ignore later on because they're tending to 0. If it was tending to 1, I have to ensure that I'm putting 1 throughout, isn't it? Right? So I have to be more watchful there. So what I did was I converted it to h tending to 0 type of limit. And how did I do that? I just replaced all my x's with 1 plus h. I think this step is pretty clear. Expansion is also pretty clear. Okay. Now again, I want to make my life still simpler. So what I did was I created a 1 over here. How did I create a 1 over here? Because, see, why did I create a 1 first of all? 1 is such a number which you raise it to any power, it always gives you a 1. So you can forget about it. Okay. If I keep two different terms, I have to see what happens to both the terms when you're raising it to a certain power. If 1 is there, you can be carefree, right? You can be carefree about it. So what I did was I took an 8 out, but remember when the 8 comes out, it will come out as 8 to the power 1 by 3. 8 to the power 1 by 3 is a 2. Now this guy which I have put in yellow brackets, this guy, you treat this as your x in your mind. Think as if you have 1 plus x to the power n. And then apply your binomial expansion. Okay.
With sir?
Yes, sir.
Sir, but then, so in this step, so you took 2h plus h square by 8 as x. So and then how can you take the 2h plus x square h square by 4 also as x?
I never took it as x. I'm saying for the purpose of applying your binomial expansion, assume that it is your x.
Okay, so they're like separate terms.
They're separate terms. I'm applying binomial to separate terms. Considering that I'm just like, I'm just simulating that as if I'm doing 1 plus x to the power n expansion.
Okay.
It's not that I'm saying both of them are equated to x. X has no, officially x is not used here. Or I've not put x in place of them. Okay. So just expand them. Okay. When you expand them, you realize that 2 and 2 will get cancelled off. Of course, this term will remain. Okay. The first non-zero term will be this term. Other terms would also be there, but you need not write it. You can just write dot dot dot. Minus this term will be remaining. Okay. So the other terms you can club it as the terms containing higher powers of h in them. They will contain higher powers of h in them. So what will happen? Now see, here comes the point, Pooja. If I had to substitute 1, I could not just bundle them up like, I don't care about them. I have to cater to them also. Are you getting my point? So that may lead to another, you can say a series, which I had to know how to sum that up, which would make my life miserable. Okay. So initially, if you are making it slightly tricky, remember later on your life will be easy. So what happened is now I cancelled out an h from the numerator and denominator. So whatever are the constant terms remaining, that only will be my answer, because other terms which have h in them, they're anyways becoming 0. So why do we care about them? So in order to make my life easy, I did that, and therefore I got this answer as negative 1 by 3. Okay. See, L'Hopital is always there, Shashwat, but that doesn't mean, see, L'Hopital also has some challenges. Many of you are thinking L'Hopital is like one-stop solution for all your miseries in limits. It is not like that. Sometimes applying L'Hopital can lead to very ugly expressions. Okay. So you should be aware of your other methods also. Okay, you should be aware of your expansions. You should be aware of your standard formulas. You should be aware of your identities. Many people say, oh, I know L'Hopital. I don't have to worry about anything in my life related to limits. No, sometimes L'Hopital can be lengthy. It can take double time to solve it. Okay. All right. So let's take one more question. Yeah, try this. No L'Hopital, please. Try to do this without a L'Hopital. That's what Aditya, that's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes L'Hopital will take a lot of time. Okay. It's not that you do it in one step. Very good, Adik. I think you did this for the assignment, right? Let others try. Let me put the poll for this. Okay, Anurag, we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it. No worries. So 5 people have responded so far. Good. Last 45 seconds. Okay, at the count of 5, we'll stop. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Please vote, please vote. Okay. So not everybody has responded. Never mind. Most of you have gone with option C, which is actually the correct option. So let's solve this question. Now, this is the case where you can manage with rationalization. So what I'll do is I will multiply and divide with this. Okay. Denominator, let it be as such. Now, as x tends to 2, let me tell you one thing. Out of all these, in fact, these two will get clubbed up. Okay. This factor is the one which will be harmless. Harmless means a term which is becoming non-zero when you put this value of x into this expression. Correct. So when you put this 2 here, it will become 2 root 2. So it will become 1 by 2 root 2. Numerator term will become under root of x minus 2 plus root x whole square minus 2 by under root of x square minus 4. Okay. So this will be limit x tending to 0. Square of this will give you x minus 2 plus x plus 2 under root of, or let me write it separately, 2 under root of x under root x minus 2. And this minus 2 which is left off, that is, I'll write it over here, whole divided by under root of, now x minus 4 I can break it up as x minus 2 x plus 2. Okay. Now here also we can see that the numerator will get simplified as 2 times, so 2x is there, minus 2 is also 2 times, so 2 times x minus 2 and 2 under root of x under root x minus 2 by under root of x minus 2 under root of x plus 2. Okay. Now root of x plus 2 is a harmless term, right? This term is a harmless term, so why unnecessarily I'll keep it in the limit process. So I'll put 0 and take it outside. So when I put a 0 here, I end up getting root 2. I end up getting a root 2. So I'll take the root 2 outside. So root 2 and root 2 here will become a 2. So this will become a 4. This will become a 4. Okay. Now, one root x minus 2 can be taken out each from the numerator and denominator, and you can cancel them off. So if you take a root x minus 2 common from the numerator and denominator and cancel them off, you will be left with under root x minus 2 times 2 plus 2 under root x. Okay, and the denominator will get cancelled off. Correct? Yes or no? I think x was tending to 2 and I kept on writing 0 here. I'm sorry. We are into so much of tending to 0 kind of a limit that we tend to write this also as tending to 0. Yeah, this also tending to 2. Okay. Now just put x as 2 throughout here. It will become 1. This will become a 0. This will become a 2 root 2. Is that fine? Is there anything that we missed out? Let me know. Okay, yeah, it was actually,
should it be
it
under
was
root x
actually
plus
4
2?
root. Yeah. I got the point here because it was actually 2 coming out from there. Yeah. So this will be 4 root 2. Now it will become 2 root 2 by 4 root 2, which is nothing but a half. Nothing but a half. Hariharan has a question. Oh, all got resolved? Fine. So I think this is pretty much for your method of rationalization. Okay, we'll talk about more difficult problems later on when we are doing other indeterminate forms. Okay, and of course, when we are doing different types of limits, many a times you will have a mixed component. You will have exponential along with rationalization factor, or you have logarithmic along with rationalization factor. Okay, so there would be a different mix and match of these type of problems with other limits. So when we do those kind of limits, now if need be, we'll come back again to more questions on this.